Welcome to this evening's concert. If you are willing and able to please rise for the national anthem to honor our country and our veterans. I'm going to try to limit talking tonight so we can keep the program moving. The jazz band's going to be playing 4 pieces for you. Most of them you will recognize. Maybe a Beatles song that you might recognize or one of the other pieces. I just want to point out, I was just looking, my one and only senior back there, if you can wave, is Mr. Jackson Hill in jazz band. We have one senior that will be graduating this year, and I've appreciated his time here. So we will just go straight through our 4 pieces that we have, starting with a little bit of soul. The last piece we'll be playing for you is Can't Buy Me Love, recorded by the Beatles. I just have to tell you kind of a funny story. When we were in Nashville, we went to a wax museum. I can never assume the kids know who these people are. But we went to a wax museum, and they had interactive time where you could like go stand by one of the wax people of these famous country musicians or rock musicians or whatever. And in the car, there was a car, and you could sit in the car with Elvis Presley. And I said to one of the freshman boys, no one up here, I said, you want to go take a picture with him? And he's like, who is that? And I said, Elvis Presley. He's like, who? I'm like, wow. I don't know. I failed as a music teacher. So there will be a unit on Elvis Presley later, not during the concert, though. So here's our last piece, Can't Buy Me Love, recorded by the Beatles. Well, the sixth graders are coming up. I hope you grabbed one of the sheets. It was called a senior spotlight. I tried to highlight our seniors. We have 15 seniors involved in music this year. I think it's 6 band students and 9 choir students. And then Jackson Hill is the only one that does both band and choir. So congrats to him for sticking out both of those. And thank you, parents, for encouraging your kids to continue. I know it's easier sometimes to just let them quit, but thank you for not letting them quit. Music's a lifelong skill that they have developed. So if you didn't get a chance to look at those, hopefully you will in between the break.
The only thing I want to say before we start is we're actually going to be beginning with Cayuga Lake Overture. So we just flipped our 2 songs around. So this is Cayuga, and then you'll hear The Tempest. All right, before we play our second and final piece here in sixth grade band, I would like to give out a few awards to some well-deserving kiddos on stage. Always one of the hardest parts of my job because everybody is deserving of recognition in some way, probably. But I managed to narrow it down to a few, and I want to make sure we recognize those kiddos. If you are an award recipient, if you would just come stand right over here, and I'll give you your certificate, all right? And then we'll play our second song. So I chose 2 students for a Most Improved Award. And that kind of goes hand in hand with my Hardest Worker Award, right? You have to be a hard worker to improve a lot in 6th grade. But there are 2 kids that stood out to me where I felt like their improvement really had a strong effect on the band. This first one goes to somebody who plays, in my opinion, the hardest instrument in the 6th grade, and that's a clarinet player. Being a 6th grade clarinet player is a true life challenge that most will never understand unless you've done it. So any clarinet players out there, grown-ups, see? Yeah, woohoo! Yeah, you know what I mean. You remember that. You remember when you had to learn those high notes. You remember that? That's 6th grade. So that's a tough one, and they have to put in really twice as much work to get there. But one of our clarinet players, I feel like, has done a really fantastic job. She's put in the effort and has really come through that beautifully. And so I would like to recognize as one of my most improved musicians, Miss Hattie Davis. My other most improved goes to a kid who is really holding this band together. And at the beginning of the year, I felt like blended in a little bit more, but then realized we needed a leader in that back row and has really stepped it up, has figured out how to play the notes, has figured out how to play the rhythms, and plays confidently in a way that helps drive our band. You heard it a lot in this last piece. So my second most improved musician is Miss Amelia Peterson. I picked one Husky Spirit Award because there's always a kid in the band who just brightens your day and makes teaching music a fun thing to do. And this is a kiddo when we were talking about signing up for classes next year, and we had that conversation where I was like, please don't quit band. This kid came back and she was like, I went right to the office and I changed my schedule and I'm not quitting band. And I was like, ooh, okay, awesome. And this student, again, in my opinion, plays one of the hardest instruments in 6th grade band. It's easy to get down on yourself. It's easy to get discouraged, but they don't do that. They don't put their clarinet down. They keep trying. They keep a positive attitude, and they don't quit. And so I really appreciate that. And I would like to recognize Miss Aurora Latrail as a Husky Spirit. And then last but not least, I have 2 Hardest Worker Awards. This goes to 2 kiddos that I feel like really put in the time. They put in the practice. I can leave them in charge. They're incredibly responsible. They always have their stuff. They're always on time. They're helping keep other people around them organized, which is so appreciated. And they're also phenomenal musicians that you would notice are also kind of helping to hold our group together. They anchor our group together. These are 2 kiddos I could call on to help with. In fact, one of them I was like, I need you to stay after school and paint a pineapple, a 8-foot tall pineapple. And he was like, sounds great. And he did, amongst others here too. But these are kids I can depend on to go above and beyond and be leaders. This first one, I hinted at him already, is one of our percussionists, Jackson Formanek. And then last but not least, my next Hardest Worker Award is literally the kid I leave in charge when we have a sub. Like my sub plans say, you just sit down and you let this kid run the rehearsal and also play his instrument and also mitigate all of the social things that happen in 6th grade band. And so highly dependable, a highly intelligent young man, a hard worker, and he really is an anchor, again, in our band, and that is Mr. Brennan Skolvolt. Congratulations. All right. And these are our 6th grade band award winners over here. One more round of applause for them. All right, thanks, guys. We are going to play one more piece for you. It is called The Tempest. And then we'll be moving on to our next band. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
I too have some awards. I'm going to split them up a little bit while the drums are moving around. I have 2 Most Improved awards, and I tell my middle school and my high school students that Most Improved, because sometimes I think, oh, that means you thought I was bad. That's not what I mean at all. It means that you've really grown as a musician, and I see that, and I'm very proud of all of the students, of course, but I'm very proud of these 2 students that I'm awarding the Most Improved award to. The first award goes to Miss Kalia Hansey. And the second one goes to Miss Breyer Mock. Our next piece is called Castles and Dragons. If you want to kind of think of your pirate hat, this is what this song reminds me of, Castles and Dragons. While they're switching up, I have 2 more awards, but I also want to say this next piece, Legacy, it's a little bit longer piece. I always try the last concert to challenge my 7th and 8th graders, mostly to prepare my 8th graders for high school. And then we drag the 7th graders along with us, or they come right along with us. But that piece is called Legacy, which is actually probably a freshman, sophomore level piece when they play this piece. So enjoy Legacy when we get there. Our next 2 awards are the Hardest Worker Awards. And the first recipient is Miss Haley Huffman. And while she's making her way up here, the second Hardest Worker Award goes to Miss Ruby Treadle. if you heard all those flute notes and those clarinet notes, but they were pretty fast for 7th and 8th graders, and they did a great job. While the drums are switching, I have 2 last awards before we play our last piece, called Riders on the Southern Front. Our last 2 awards are what I call the Husky Award. I look at this kind of as a citizenship award, as someone who, like Mrs. Stopper said, just makes it great to come to band every day. And, you know, I don't know that I would ever say, wow, I look forward to having 7th and 8th grade band 7th hour of the day every day. But these guys really do make it fun 95% of the time. They are typical 7th and 8th graders, of course, sometimes, but they are really, really focused generally in band, and I really appreciate that. Like I said, it's hard to have a band class at the end of the day, especially with middle school students, but they do a great job. So our first Husky Award goes to Miss Eleanor Anderson. And the second Husky Award goes to Miss Adeline Parker. As the 7th and 8th graders are going off and the high school students are coming on, just a couple things. If you noticed when you came in the building, or in the auditorium, the space out there, we had some banners displayed. Those are students from 2020 to 25 that have been selected for North Dakota All-State, which is a huge accomplishment for our students. You know, we are competing against Fargo, Grand Forks, Bismarck, whatever, and we have some students that have been selected more than 1 year that are on the banner. And you also, if you were watching when you came in, saw 2 different plaques One, when we traveled to Nashville, was for band. One was for choir. These guys went to Nashville with not quite everybody. Some students chose not to go, but we received second place and a silver rating, which is very good. A couple of the judges commented on the comment sheets, like, you need to recruit tubas. I'm like, I have a tuba. He just didn't come with me. I threatened to have him stowed underneath a bus, but he wasn't going for that. But anyway, they did a great job. These students competed at contests. They put themselves out there for a variety of things, and I'm just very, very impressed with their progress. Every year we start over. When we bring the freshmen up, we start over, and then we get to this culmination, then we get 3 months off, and then we kind of start over again. So the first two pieces are the two pieces we played when we were in Nashville. The first piece is called La Fiesta Brava, and just a little interesting thing, this is written by an 18-year-old. And so when I picked this piece, I didn't know that, but it's quite impressive that an 18-year-old can compose music like this. So La Fiesta Brava, and then I'll say just a little bit about the second piece as well. I'm going to mix my awards up here as well. I have 4 awards, I believe. The first award is, again, the Most Improved Award. It is sponsored by Ed and Sandy Olson, and this is a plaque that hangs in the music room, hopefully for eternity. And this, again, this does not mean, I don't want the students to feel like this means that they were bad. This just means I've seen great improvement. I've seen them step up in their section. And this year's Olson Award goes to Miss Kayla Worth. I also have, and I've just asked the students to just keep things moving, if they could just stand up, but these students competed at state. Again, we are competing against Fargo, Bismarck, whatever, and so these students did an outstanding job. We had, I'm going to call their names, we had a trumpet ensemble called, and they played the spinning song, and when I call your name, and there's no particular order, if you could just stand up, please, Mr. Owen Scovalt, Adeline Pickin, and stay standing, please. Jackson, oh, Owen's back there, he's being a drummer. Jackson Hill. James Tisher, Bodie Miller, Lana Osborne Krause, Marissa Mum, and Grady Michael. You give them a round of applause. We also had our clarinet ensemble that played Shenandoah receive a state star rating, which is kind of the highest rating that you can get. And we had, if you could do the same, just stand up when I call your name, Aubrey Young, Jasmine Benedict, Kayla Worth, Tatum Neuenthal, and Michaela Beaver Meshing. We also had a group, and I said it's kind of the highest rating. We also had a saxophone trio that played, and they received what was called an honorable mention, which is the second best group that the judge heard that entire day. And the saxophone ensemble consisted of Miss Maya Anderson, Abby Paulson, and Claire Lathrop. And then we had a low brass quintet play, and they received not only a state star rating, but they also received what's called an outstanding performance, which I presented at the last concert. They received a plaque. They will be in what used to be called the Parade of Champions when they do the basketball tournaments next spring. And they played a piece called The Octopus, and these students were Hayden Hoagland, Garnett Anderson, Levi Hagelstrom, Linnea Berger, and Elise Scovalt. And they each received a state medal, which I will give to them tomorrow during class time. So thank you. Our next piece, just a little explanation really quick. Across the Northern Sky, we actually played it, I think it was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, but when I was picking out music to play when we went to Nashville, I wanted the judges to have a little bit of taste of what we see in our countryside here, the beauty, the sunrise, things like that. And this was written by Sweeney, and it was commissioned by Eckroth Music, and they wanted it to represent the areas where they have stores, which is North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, I believe. And so we kind of opened the judges' eyes to the beauty we have around here. So enjoy Across the Northern Sky, and then we will go, I have 2 more awards, and then we'll keep going. Our next award is called the Dietz Award, and it is for exceptional contribution to the band. This student is someone that I can call upon. She's always on her toes. Don't ever hesitate to ask her to help with something. And this year's Dietz Award goes to Miss Emma Klein. And I also have, I guess I have two more awards. One more I'm going to give right now, and then we'll do the last one. So before I have Ruth Quam come up here, I have one more. I have the Husky Award. And this is, again, a student who, I don't know, just makes band a little bit better. I can always count on him when I need help for whatever I need help for. And he will be greatly missed. This goes to Mr. Jackson Hill. And I'm going to, at this time, before we play Chivalry, I'm going to call Miss Ruth Quam up here. The Legion Auxiliary has been sponsoring the John Philip Sousa Award for, we can't remember how many years, several years. And they're so kind as to purchase this award for us. This is another plaque that will stay in the music room, hopefully for eternity. The student gets a little trophy, I guess, and a certificate. And this is John Philip Sousa Award, which is given to an outstanding high school senior that's been in band all 4 years.
Okay, on behalf of the American Legion Auxiliary here in Wahpeton, I'm proud to be the sponsor and award this year's John Philip Sousa Band Award to Aubrey Young. And that's the plaque with her name on it that'll stay in the band room. And you have a certificate, and you have a little, I guess we call it a trophy, and a little lapel pin. Congratulations.
We have two pieces left. This next one is called Chivalry. It's supposed to be about a wedding ceremony. Use your imagination. I'm not sure. A happy wedding ceremony. Dancing and all of that stuff. And then the last piece, we're inviting any alumni that have their instruments to join us to play Children's March. We end every year with Children's March. I think this is the second or third or fourth year doing that. So Chivalry, followed by Children's March. Thank you again for coming. And so we have some alumni, or an alumni, two alumni, and we have Mr. Kent Loken back there on the trumpet as well. I always forget to thank him, but I want to thank him. He comes in, volunteers his time, helps with sectionals, helps with small groups, helps with contest music, whatever I ask his help for. So thank you, Mr. Loken. And we have Mr. And we have Luke Olsby here on the clarinet, who is a Wahpeton graduate and is now teaching in Breckenridge. We have McCade Picken all the way from Georgia Tech on the alto sax back here. And we have Mattia Urbanik back there on the clarinet, playing the bass clarinet, but on a regular clarinet.